Anyway, here we are in the woods and got a blank canvas. A friend of mine asked me to do one of the Entwives return, and she didn't really ask it so much like that. She was just like, can you paint like those trees, you know, in the lover's embrace? So I'm going to show this sort of sketch to you that we're going off of. Let's see, there's the sketch. So we're gonna try to make that on here. Okay, and we're running out of light, so this is gonna be a trick. This is a real trick. And here we go. Let's see, I'm looking for all my stuff. A lot of stuff here. Okay, you always can use duct tape just anywhere, but here we're doing plein air again. And plein air. Okay, and here we are. It's almost sunset, so we are running out of light. So anyway, a friend of mine asked me to do this particular painting, and it is going to be awesome because I've done a lot of Entwives Return. You can look at my videos from the past many years ago, before I had a smartphone and I was fooling around with a little camera. I got a lot of white, a lot, on a piece of garbage. I almost always use a piece of garbage. And then, whoo, gotta love that sound, you know. You'll hear all kinds of stuff in the plein air, what have you. Okay, so now in this painting, I am not using any water. And one reason is the verticalness of the painting. I love to use water when I am having the painting horizontal. Okay, so now we're gonna go with like a really light gray, and we're gonna just make like exactly what I have here on this mini masterpiece. We're gonna make exactly, no, I'm just joking. We're gonna go for that. So we have like sort of this is like the tree. This is the overbrush, or the, you know, the canopy if you will. And so now I'm just gonna talk about Ents and Entwives, you know, might as well, okay? Because who doesn't love Tolkien, you know? If you don't love Tolkien, it's like, I mean, that's okay. I understand. It's like there's so many other cultures and things going on in the world. Like, it's okay if you don't love Tolkien. It's just like, I don't know, it's kind of like, where have you been? And yeah, maybe you're in like, you know, some other place, you know, where that wasn't celebrated. And that's okay. That's okay, because I'm missing out on what you got going, you know. And anyway, so we're gonna go with, so the Entwives, basically they took off a long time ago, and the exact year, the exact you know, sort of fictional time frame of the Entwives return leaving is really subject to interpretation. You know, when did they leave? Well, Fanghorn said that it was almost like they were a memory, like a distant memory. And so here we go with what happened to them? What happened to the Entwives? So there's all sorts of commentary you can you know, and you know, here I am not that read. I mean, I have read Tolkien, but have I reread? Have I studied? Have I read the letters of Tolkien? I have not. But supposedly in one of the letters, in the one they label letter 144, he did say that they may have died when the lands to the east were burnt by Sauron. Very intense. But what happened was he also said a few may have gotten away. So, and some people think, well, maybe the great old forest might have some of them and whatnot. Um, but you never know. Who knows? So we're just kind of creating these forms. So what happened is, in my experience, or in my I guess chain, if you will, I've created the Entwives return, and so here we have the oh, good news, the Entwives have returned, and you can imagine if they returned, it would be great. But there's also the theory that they were enslaved by Sauron, and so once they were enslaved in those East lands, it was almost like they were the sort of plantation goddesses. Like they helped the crops grow, they helped all the plants grow in the meadows, the flowers, all that sort of stuff, and they made all that stuff happen. And so basically, once they returned, or they didn't return, but if they returned, I hope that they would return and that it would look something like this, but people say that there might have been too much trauma. I'm gonna go ahead and put like some happy, this is another episode of Happy Nipples. Okay, so a happy kind of background, we're gonna put like some mountains, hills, things like that in the background. So we go like this, and so these are kind of in the distant. So the idea of what happened to these Entwives, you can really get into it. You can really get into that. But it is, of course, all fiction, as we know. Okay. We're gonna throw down some background. We're just getting really crazy, we're just the dynamics right now of the song, or whatever, if you will. Oh, here's the train, so that's part of the song. So we're getting really, like, oh, hey, what's good, what's cooking, what can we kind of like, here we are, it's the sunset, October 14th. My friend is like, I'll buy a painting from you, and I'm like, well, my schedule's really full. How about tomorrow? I'll start tomorrow, So here we go. So again, I'm just laying down these dynamics in between these roots. I want to get some darker kind of soil going, but I want to kind of remember where they're at, and I don't want to lay down any black where these roots are, because you know what, or just pop, with whiteness, off. And sometimes when you lay down all black on a canvas, it takes a minute to regroup. So gray, yes, gray. Black, it's kind of hard to erase. You got to get your big eraser. Now, in this situation, I am using a thick amount of white paint, a lot of white paint, because you're always going to use more white than black. Well, here I am saying always, so silly. I don't know. But what I am saying is that the black will stretch a hell of a lot further than the white. Now, unless you're going to have, and I just drew down that canvas, magic related, about a Leela, artful provocateur, and in that situation, I threw down black. Give yourself a black canvas, if that's what you want to start with. Maybe have some white just jump off. Okay, but in this situation, you know what? I'm working with the white background. And again, this canvas came from my grandma. And I could be like really sentimental and be like, oh, I gotta paint something for my grandma or really grandma related. And I treasure the couple of paintings I have of hers for sure. Well, actually, they belong to my kids. But what I'm saying is, I need to keep moving forward, and that means I gotta use this canvas, and that kind of thing. I gotta use a canvas, and so I'm gonna have, maybe another tree pops up. You gotta have more than one tree, right? So, and maybe this one isn't quite alive anymore, and maybe this one was alone. It's, before the Entwives could return. This one, and I guess I'm gonna have the sun sort of over here in the in the east, if you will. Sun's hitting in the east, so be prepared for that. Okay, so gonna give her. She's gonna kind of start to pop off a little bit, and now the ants were very sad. They so what, they had a disagreement. They kind of followed different gods, almost like the Egyptian, like Eye of Horus and the Eye of Ra, kind of like they followed different gods almost. And so here the Entwives, they wanted more fruit, they wanted more meadows, they wanted more open space, and the Ents, the men Ents, they wanted to have more bigger, older growth forest. And in the end, it became, well, how can we live together? And it's kind of like that old tale of country mouse, city mouse, So he's thinking, how does she, live amongst these people that are enslaving her, more or less. And then she's thinking, well, how does he live amongst such dark, scary woods, and how do they work that out? I don't know. So they didn't, and she left, and they all left, all of the women, and they could have been just under some sort of a spell, basically, just made to do Sauron's bidding. Here you get these things going, but then they were supplying for the sort of this great war. They're also supplying the food for the good side, also. So, these Entwives were doing what needed to be done in these kind of foreign lands, and the Ent husbands they're not really, too cool with that, because, they kept, Fanghorn was like, hey, remember and consider these amazing and beautiful lands, that we have. And anyway, so it was kind of heartbreaking, when you think about it. Very, it's like, so these ants, they're mortal, but they live so long, live so doggone long, and so they basically were kind of, like living almost like a vampire who lost their love, and so you're watching the people that you love die, and in this case not die, but they could probably dead, honestly, because really ultimately those lambs were burnt,
And so yeah, ants did get up and travel. They got up and they did stuff. But a lot of them became more tree-like, became more where they weren't moving around a lot, and so the chances are that they were burnt in what they called the brown lands. And the brown lands, they were disgustingly singed, you know, because Sauron didn't want any kind of resources in that. We're just creating texture right now. I'm not gonna fuss over the texture. I just want to make sure that it's there. You know, we have some texture, and I'm thinking, you know, like, you know, we're gonna have the dark side kind of over here, so off in the west. You know, the sun right now is rising in the east, let's say, and right now I'm painting it during the sunset, so that's kind of cool. And yeah, just creating a background. And you know what I mean. We're just laying it down, and this is all subject to change. I'm gonna squint my eyes and be like, "Oh, that sucks." Okay, but basically, I need some paint laid down in the right spots. And here's the edge of this tree again, right here, and a branch. Okay. Okay. All right, here we go. Canopy, 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 canopy. Okay, and here we go. So her arm is gonna go like this. Okay, under the breast. Got that. Rib cage, waist, hips. Okay. Gonna make kind of a nice lithe tree. A lot of times I make very curvy trees. This one's a little bit younger, thinner, I guess. Okay, and then we're gonna just do some more branches. Again, you know, with, you know, the Bob Ross, you know, every branch is got its own personality, its own thing happening, and again, we're on the dark sort of side right now of the dark side of the canvas, and lay down like some thick paint for the tree, you know, kind of through here, and okay, and then I'm gonna get the brush where it's not too dark, and start to think about her looking up at him. And then her arm is going around his head like that. And now we're going to think about him looking down at her. And this is just whimsical, you know, because we have, you know, a couple of trees that have become humans, you know, and we don't have to really be making perfect trees.
or perfect humans. You know, we're just playing. We're just playing, being playful. And
So he is behind her, like so, and then get some more gray. He is just behind her, and he is going to have his branches coming around her body, but for now we're going to always want to think about background. So right now I'm like, okay, I need to put some more background going on here before kind of like let the paint settle. It's pretty dark in there, gonna lighten that up a little bit. Okay, and then okay. It's just really incredible being out here right now. I see a deer about 50 feet away. My cat was swishing in my legs. And we were doing the Entwives return on a tree, so that's always really great. Okay. So a lot of times when I do a painting, it's so much easier to know where I'm going in the beginning. But where's the fun in that? You know, it's fun to sort of be surprised. So I like sometimes to do a painting, and it is a challenge, and sometimes it doesn't turn out the way that I want it to, or even good at all. Like, case in point, you know, like episode 1 and 2. You know, no, I'm just saying they're okay. But when you have a painting, you're like, oh, this is exactly where I want to go, and I'm gonna spend a lot of time on that painting. Like, then that can go to your advantage, you know, for sure. But also there's something about, to me, these very playful, very fun, you know, very simple, very simple art that comes out of some, and that comes out of myself at times. Like, it's inspiring. It's like, oh, cool. Like, yeah, I could spend days and days and days like fixing the problems on that painting, but some reason it came out like that. So anyways, I'm gonna keep going here, and then see. Okay. Now he's got kind of a cheek right here. Gotta make sure the brush is clean-ish. We're just kind of laying down some layers. So it's okay, because this is all very whimsical, very playful. And again, like, these guys are probably related to the elves. So a lot of times I give them an elven ear. I mean, I almost always do. Okay, so I give them an elven ear. And if you like my Entwives return, I have them in my art show from years ago, etc. They're on videos from the past. So I like doing trees in the lover's embrace, if you will. I like that. And if anybody has a problem with that, that is fine with me as well. But you can paint whatever you want to paint, because any day that you paint is a good day. So just paint whatever you like, and I'll paint whatever I like, and that will be fun. And then underneath this boob, like this, And then there's this whimsical sort of quality happening because his arm is coming in and it's like making branches. And now I need some kind of belly going on too. I need to think about that. So her belly is kind of light and nice right there. Okay, it's like a light and nice belly. Okay. And more so. Okay. White, right there. We could work on that for a long time, but basically she's a tree, so she has bark, and we're not gonna worry about that too much. And so he has his branch coming around, and we are going to worry about that at the moment. He has sort of the shoulder right here that comes here around her, and here's like his bark is coming around her, and then he has his branch coming right around here, and you want to kind of play with the lines that are already happening. And the lines are happening. Okay. Here, like that. So that's his arm. And it is going around. He loves his Entwife, and he's really happy that she returned. And in this fantasy, in this painting, this is a good thing. This is like she was just out and enjoying a vacation. There was no trauma. She came back and he opened his arms and they embraced. It was a delight. And here I'm kind of thinking about I'm gonna think about anatomy and physiology. He does have kind of this bicep coming through here, but then it breaks off and it becomes, a branch. So there's that, and then she is getting more bark, and when I do this, I'm just like mixing paint like this, and then putting it on the canvas. Just put it on. I mean, the thing with Bob Ross was he was so playful and so enjoyable, and he basically made it where you felt like it was okay to make a mistake, and certainly that's the way I like to feel when I paint also. It is okay to make a lot of mistakes. That's gonna happen, and sometimes it's like the happiest mistakes. It's like so cool. Almost there in a lot of ways. I'm thinking 10 more minutes. We'll see, because we're losing light. So right. So basically, I need to kind of sometimes. So the background shouldn't be like as cakey as the main subject. The background paint should not be that cakey. So I'm gonna kind of work on making the background a little more. Well, okay. Just think of it like this: when you look in a camera, a camera will focus on a certain subject, and that subject is going to be in focus and have quite a bit of detail. where everything further back it is not. And so some of this is like, oh, I need to kind of fuzzy that out a little bit because that's the background. Okay, and then kind of just go like this a little bit, you know. I mean, this is not the end. We're thinking about dynamics at the moment. This is the dark side of that dark side, and the dark side of this one. But again, this is not like, you don't want to have like too dark of darks in the background either. But I'm just kind of like, oh, I'm pretending this whole backside is the backside of like the mountain back here. And anyway, that's coming in here too. And then give him a nice white, because that's kind of where the white is hitting him. Is going to be white right here. Alright. So, here we go. We're also going to throw in like some smaller trees just in the background. So we have like this. This is a pretty cool tree here. Okay. And again, that's got this kind of light side going on, this light side. And the light side and the dark side. So there's a tree, and then we'll get another tree over here. This one's just kind of a young one. And yeah, I'm not putting any faces on these ones because there's so many other trees that were in the woods, you know, with Tolkien, not just the Ents. Okay, so I'm not gonna worry about that, and again, not gonna worry too much about the detail either of these trees. Just keep in mind these are trees, you know. I am gonna give them a lighter side on their bark over here. A lighter side on their east side bark. Okay. Alright. Okay, cool. And then just some little things hanging about. Some happy little things just hanging about, you know, on the ground, you know. And again, you know, thinking about that texture. We're not having one shade of gray here. This is just like, it's a mix-up. It's crazy. It's getting crazy, you know. And we're just loving it, you know. We're just enjoying life. And so a lot of times I go too far and I like need more paint. So I have to get more paint right now. And I'm being pretty generous with the amount of paint, and so because I'm doing that style of like thick paint. And so get this fairly clean, but a little bit of gray is cool. And I'm gonna again make those east side lines white. Okay, so here her hip would be about here, and I'm gonna just give that like right here, and any kind of like ridges on the tree. So like gonna be kind of white, and then redip it if it gets gray, because it's like mix in on the thing. But it just makes it so much more interesting to me when the paint actually mixes on the canvas. I think that's cool. I think that's really fucking cool. So anyway, I'm swearing, I guess, because the trees are fucking, so I guess. So just expect that, I guess. Just expect that's happening. But you know what? These are Ents, so they're not fully tree, you know. They don't just have, they propagate differently than like trees, like a regular tree. There's like no paint between the faces, and I'm thinking I'm just gonna put some dark right there because I need some kind of contrast, and I basically just got rid of their faces, and that's okay, right? It's okay. So now it's time to think about their faces with a big dab of white. A big dab of white, and she is looking up at her man. He is her, her Ent, her guy. And he is looking at his woman. And they are very much in love. In this painting, there is no sadness. There's no him saying, hey, why did you leave the fair lands? Why did you do that? Could have been with me. And her saying, oh, I was treated so poorly and it was terrible. None of that is happening here. And that is really where the fantasy is, I mean, when we have the Hildebrands, like I say, in episode 1, where we have these Hildebrands creating the original, sort of, I mean, obviously the words were the original, I mean, the story, but when the Hildebrands spent all that time making those incredible paintings, it really gave everybody this amazing idea of what was happening in the story, and those images were used in the movies and everything. And so there's a lot, I think of like a license here. I think Tolkien was very cool about, oh, you think that went on, okay, yeah, that could have happened, that and so here I'm taking a lot of license to say, hey, maybe the Entwives came back, and it was okay. It was really okay. Maybe they had this like pretty great reunion, and like they live in some mythical forest like to this day, and thankfully like that forest has not been messed with, by clear cutting and all that. Sauron and Saruman have actually stayed out of there, and so that's where I'm really getting this artist license to do, whatever, because I want to believe that the Ents and the Entwives were reunited. I think that would be ideal. At this stage, I think I am gonna do some happy nipples. And it's getting really dark, and that's kind of crazy because I'm like, how do I even, it's like pin the tail on the donkey, and it's like, how do I even know where to put the nipples, right? Like, how do I even know where to put the nipples? I'm gonna try. I got a slightly smaller brush. I'm gonna roll my sleeves up because I think I'm gonna get paint on my sleeves. Okay, and then the one nipple is gonna go here, and one nipple is gonna go here. And these are very happy nipples. You know, I think they're pretty symmetrical. And then I'm gonna work on the faces a little bit, like, so I definitely, here, would be eye. No, her man has a mustache, so I'm gonna give him a little bit of a mustache. And, like a brow. And then kind of like that. Yeah, he looks pretty good. And then she is really, really like happy about seeing him. He's so great. And you know, it's hard. Like, people want to see nice faces, but a lot of times nice faces are just they're just shrunken down, you know, from a photograph or like a really great painting. And so it's like, for me to make a really nice face right now is like, oh, it's a challenge. So we're gonna try to make a nice face. All right, I think we're getting there. It's like pretty cool. Gonna add, like, again, those kind of where it should be, where, you know, it's like, oh, that's where the light's hitting your boob right there. So it's gonna be lighter. And then, like, your nipple right here is also gonna be lighter. That right there. Okay. And let's see. Okay, so here we have a lot happening. We need some dark in here. And so the rest, I'm gonna go ahead and finger paint. Hopefully we can light this up in the edit. And what I like to do is use the very last bit of paint. Like, that's gonna be the deciding factor. How much paint I have here is what I'm going to use here. First, I want to get some very dark black in her eye and her brow and her kind of like a smile going on. And he has this great ear happening, and she also has a nice ear happening. And then she also has some hair, you know, I'm gonna give her some hair. And maybe not worry about that elven ear so much. She's just got hair that's coming around. And here we go. We're gonna do the rest in finger painting, I believe. And that is just going up here. Okay, really thinking about the top of the painting. We don't want it to be boring, but we don't want it to be too detailed either. So, and I don't know, like those things were just kind of looking a little bit And yeah, here we're just gonna go a little bit wild like this and think about where we can go from here. We're gonna think about, well, where are we? What are we doing? I'm going to need some more black for sure. Okay, so now I'm going back to the brush, and we're thinking tertiary at this time. We are considering how we can create the very end of the details, the very sort of happy branches and playfulness. And some of these branches are really coming forward, and they are just coming at you. And the beautiful thing again about branches is that they are very similar to river systems and lightning and capillaries and all sorts of amazing, beautiful things in nature. We're so close, we're going to have to move inside to show the end result. But it's almost a wrap up. I'm gonna get some real black on the edge of her body over here. Very happy nipples. And here she goes, almost. Here we go. And okay, we're very close, and we're just putting some more branches in because it really creates an illusion of detail and specificity and nature in general when we give attention to those happy little branches. And this is what we're doing here. We're just creating all sorts of illusions that don't exist in nature, and it's so fun and playful. And we're very close. And I think it's looking pretty good. I think I'm gonna go for a little more with my hand on the sort of background trees. And so this has been another episode of Happy Nipples, and it is so dark I can just barely see the painting now, but I will show you very soon when we get inside. Okay, so brought the painting inside. Overall, I'm really happy with it. I think over here needs a little bit more dark.
because that is the dark side. Also over here, kind of where she would sort of be shading him a little bit. Okay, and then probably just a little bit happier nipples, honestly. So let's see here, where are we at? Okay, and then all right, just coming through here and just making some happy branches, you know. Just making some happy little branches. Okay. And it's looking pretty good. Making some texture. Okay. All right, so this is the third episode of Happy Nipples, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I want to say, wow, it's my best painting ever. Just to like put that really good vibe into it. Anyhow, the Entwives have returned in this particular painting in a very loving way, and that concludes episode 3 of Happy Nipples. Thank you. So yeah, I like the way it turned out. It looks pretty good. I will give it a thumbs up.